Hi everyone, Mitch here, and today I'm going to be showing you and installing Bedrock Linux. That was a terrible take. I'll tell you later. Hello everybody, and today we're going to be taking a look at Bedrock Linux. So, Bedrock Linux, as it says here on the website, is a meta Linux distribution which allows users to mix and match components from other distributions that are typically incompatible, and there are other meta distributions of Linux, stuff like Gentoo or Linux from scratch, also call themselves meta distributions, but I would argue that Bedrock Linux itself is more thoroughly a meta distribution than others. Those just let you kind of avoid having software distributed to you. But with Bedrock, you can actually choose how you distribute the different distributions among your system. That's not how the word among works, but it is now. I have an Ubuntu VM that I just spun up here. It's weird. Let me just close this folder here to save the space a little bit. But as you can see, it is a brand new Ubuntu virtual machine that I've set up just for this. I am actually running Bedrock Linux on a couple of my own systems because, as you'll see, it is pretty simple to set up, and there are few downsides. There are a couple we may get into here. But first, the installation. Here's the installation instructions.html. There's a couple things that you can't do. Distro compatibility, feature compatibility, and known issues. I encourage you guys to check these out. I will put a link to the top level site in the description of this video. Because, basically there's a couple things like you can't use Grub and Btrfs together because it's sort of broken. And from here, this link I have open already. So the way that you would actually install Bedrock Linux is you install another distribution, and then you run this shell script. So we're just going to select that line and copy this into the VM, and I believe that I drag and drop. Okay, hang on. Clipboard. Bidirectional clipboard. There we go. Now I want to paste. Okay, fine. I have to do it though. I have to do this again here. See, this is why a lot of people they like to test stuff and do it correctly, but I'm not about that. I like to. Okay, this is fine though. This is actually fine. So we're just going to open Firefox, and we're going to follow the links so you can see how I got to where I got to. And if this part is boring, then we'll just cut it out. But now that I've said that, I probably won't. Okay, Firefox, as always, has stuff opening all the time. BedrockLinux.org. Nice site installation instructions. Scroll down to this link. Where does it say this link? Download the latest installer from here, which is this GitHub page. It's a raw page. So we're just going to copy this, and we're going to Alt-Tab to our terminal and stick that in. I go to the beginning and say curl that with LO so it puts it in the. Okay, fine. We're instead of curling it, we're going to get it. I don't feel like downloading curl. Pretty sure. What? Oh, you can't use options on a widget. What am I doing? Okay, there we go. Boom. It's downloaded. look at it, it's right here. So, as it says, in here we just have to run as root the script with -- hijack as a flag. You can actually look at this script if you want. It's a shell script which installs Bedrock Linux, and you'll find some functions. It has a bunch of tests to see whether it's okay, which it should be. I don't see why it wouldn't be. So we're just going to sudo su, and I used sudo earlier, so it's already set up. And we're going to sh on demoman Bedrock Linux blah blah.sh with the -- hijack. Warning. Continuing, remove the existing install to a temporary location. Install Bedrock on the root of the file system and have the previous install as a Bedrock stratum. You are about to replace your existing Linux install with a Bedrock Linux install. This is not intended to be reversible. And yeah, that's true. It feels like it's not doing much because it does just add the distro back on top of where it was. But in actual fact, and in factual act, you are literally sticking Bedrock underneath the host distro there. You are hijacking the installation. And that's a feature of Bedrock Linux, that you get to use whatever installation of whatever distro you like, and then you just run the script as there. The dev has actually mentioned that they're going to be moving away from that, or at least reintroducing the option of installing just bare Bedrock Linux and then building other distros on top of it, because it does get a little bit confusing for new users. As it was for me, I kind of, it really feels like, you're going to see when we reboot, but it feels like nothing changed at all, even if you don't close your eyes. So it has to make sure that you're able to read instructions and type. So we type not reversible, and it does our, oh, that was quick. So it did a bunch of sanity checks, and it knows about Ubuntu. It knows about lots of distros. It doesn't know about all of them, but it does have just defaults it can use. apt PMM is the package manager. We'll get to that in a bit. It hijacked the init system, added the /bedrock folder, which contains a whole bunch of fun stuff, including all of the other distros, including this one in a moment. And now we basically just need to reboot and then run BRL tutorial basics. So we're going to do that. We're going to reboot real quick. And rebooting. It doesn't need to. Should go pretty fast, probably. Oh look! It has completed the install and is doing a bunch of things. This screen, not all of these status messages are one time, but you will see the screen every time you boot up Bedrock, unless you want to change the timeout to 0 or something. But it has this init selection, because that's like if you install a different distro that has a different init system, like you install Void and it has run it, it will actually let you choose to start up Void's init instead of Ubuntu's, for example. And again, we'll get to that. I'm gonna do a playthrough of the tutorial just to kind of give you a taste of what's going on there. So, super secret password, and give it a second because apparently that's what it takes. It takes a second, and I'm in. So, Control-Alt-T for terminal. Full screen that. Actually full screen, but I'm not going to bother full screening that. I am going to minus it a tiny bit though. So BLL, I'm actually going to also get another one out, another terminal there. BLL tutorial basics. Okay, I am actually going to make this. We can't full screen. We can't make it full screen. Let me move my video over here. Full screen. There we go. My disappointment is measured and my day has not yet been ruined. Welcome to the Bedrock Linux tutorial. Green with $ is for user. Red with hashtag is for root user. Which we're going to be doing with sudo down here because we can. And that's fine. So, just gonna. I'm a little bit nervous about making the screen too big there. So, let's learn about strata. Strata are the basic unit of a Bedrock Linux system, and they're roughly analogous to distros. So, for example, what we have so far is the Bedrock stratum, which provides this Bedrock tutorial, and a whole bunch of other things, and it's got its own, it uses the BusyBox core utils, and I think it uses the BusyBox run it in its system, because BusyBox is crazy like that, and Ubuntu has everything else. This isn't much more interesting than Ubuntu would have been by itself. That is true. So, we can run BLL fetch -- list to see what other things exist. We could also get Alpine, or Arch, or CentOS, Debian, Devuan, Exerbo. I'm not sure what Exerbo is. I've never heard of that before, honestly. Fedora, Gentoo, Ubuntu, or Void, both the glibc and the muscle version of Void, which is nice. You can also add other ones if you've got like a tarball or an ISO. There's ways of manually like making it a stratum, but you don't need to do that either. So let's just get a couple more strata up in here. I'm going to sudo su and enter my super secret password and barrel fetch. Don't ever copy paste in the terminal, guys, especially not as sudo, but I'm going to do that right now. So what this is doing right here is it's downloading Alpine Linux, and it's going to determine what the fastest place to download Alpine Linux from. And this is one of the things that is a little bit annoying about Bedrock, but it's not a big deal at all. It's just that it often takes longer to figure out which mirror to use than just to use whatever mirror. So that's a thing. But you can see here, those messages are from the distro package manager APK. That's how it says that. So we have a new Alpine stratum with the name tut alpine. And then we just do the same thing for void, I believe, right? Tut void. Control tab to make Control tab doesn't work. Okay, tut void. That's the one. So we'll just get void Linux. Download. It's got downloads for it, and it is downloading them. And as you can see, that is a different interface than before. In fact, this is the XBPS messages, and if we were to download Arch, you would see the Pac-Man messages with the promise bar on the right there, which is makes sense because that is how it's running. And we're going to get into how the distros are actually stacked and how they can coexist on the system, because everybody knows you shouldn't install two package managers because they'll conflict with each other, but Bedrock is how you do that and how you avoid that. So now we have void as well. Oh, and there it goes. The next page has been automatically selected. Lesson 3. Alpine. We have Alpine, so we can run Alpine's package manager. So apac-help. I'm going to exit the root prompt. -help. And it prints out a big old help message for APK tools. Nice. We've also got xbps install help. So xbps install help. And it's got a usage message that takes up the perfect amount of space that our terminal does. Ooh. And it's going to show it, and of course we can install different things from different distros. So we're going to sudo again, and apac add, what was it, JQ. JQ is on most distros, it's just a JSON query or thingy. And then we're just going to xbps install -jo. So I'm not actually sure what JO does. Outputs as JSON maybe, so we're just going to JO distro equals Bedrock. And I want to see what will happen. Oh yes, it just outputs whatever it is as JSON. I should be annoying for this. JO distro equals Bedrock, and then it wants us to pipe that into JQ dot distro, JQ dot distro, and then T into temp/tut1, which shouldn't be a problem. Tut1. It doesn't exist. That's fine. And it will give us back the result Bedrock, because again we're just outputting the distro of Bedrock into JSON, and then JQ is converting it back. But again, this is Void's JO and Alpine's JQ. And Ubuntu's T probably. And that's cool. So let's learn a little bit more about how these things interact here. So we'll apac add JQ doc, because I'm just going to sudo the rest of these. I don't want to keep switching in and out of different shells. Sudo apac add JQ doc, and there it goes. And then we can xbps install -y man. xbps install -y man. Sudo. That's better. And it's there. So we can man JQ and then head it. Okay, head is just for the. That's just so it knows that it's in the tutorial, and it'll print out to the screen. So I'm just going to copy this because I'm lazy. Copy it and paste. And you can see the beginning of the man page right there, because that's what the head command does. And this will have changed. So let's see. We'll learn about URL rich, which is where which distros different things come from. So URL rich apac URL rich. It's from Tut Alpine, because that's the name of the stratum that we downloaded that's got Alpine Linux. And if we ask the same thing about xbps install it will tell us cut void, because again that's the name of the void stratum. But everything comes with ls, so let's see which ls is actually getting used. Which ls, and it's Ubuntu ls, which kind of makes sense because we're in the Ubuntu terminal. It does have to pick a stratum. Oh, it can also do process IDs. I was not even quite aware of that. Let's see, which one, and it's from Ubuntu, because again, when we were booting up earlier, it had the emit selection, and the only option was Ubuntu, so it picked that. And 10720 is the tutorial process, apparently, so 10720, 10720, and that is from Ubuntu as well, apparently. 10720. Oh. And it can do directories as well. So BRL rich slash is provided by Ubuntu. This slash going off script a little bit. These are mostly the same directories as you would have before, but with the addition of slash bedrock. We'll get to that. Okay, and we're going to also check the Bedrock configuration file, see which distro that comes from, and that one says global. I don't think we have anything called global, so that's just everything. Yeah, BRL list shows us all of the strata installed. I keep wanting to say distros because that's what they are. But as you can see, if we get global is not in there, it's not a distro. Hang on. Oh. Hang on. Yeah, no, the terminal's messed up, that's it. Okay, here we are. File path types. Wait, no, we just did that. Yeah, no, okay. Wait, what? Hang on. No, we did that part. This part is left over from the terminal. Basic section, file path types, local. We can BRL which with no output, let me just which, and by default it just says Ubuntu. And which slash again is also Ubuntu. But if we cat at CLS release, you can see all of the Ubuntu stuff, which corresponds to the shell's distro, which again is Ubuntu. This comes in handy if you've got multiple versions of apt, like Debian versus Ubuntu apt, and those can only see their own distro's version of that file, which is a thing. So let's press enter, and yeah, okay. Global file type, global file paths. This is where things get a little bit more interesting. BRL rich /run is a global file path. Again, the thing we saw before was as well. Every stratum can see a global file path, and they are technically Bedrock files. Bedrock has its own files and it shares them with other strata, which is how the whole system can function at all. So again, /run is the same. BRL which /temp is also global. If we output the JSON to the tutorial so it can tell what's going on, and ask what that was again, global, we get the same thing back. It's the same as before. And now we have cross file systems, which are a little bit different. If you want to read or write to a local file specific to a stratum, you can find those under Bedrock Strata and then the name of the stratum or the distro to the file path to cross to that stratum. So, for example, earlier we looked at the Ubuntu OS release there, up here, but if we ask for the Bedrock OS release file specifically, again, /bedrock/strata/bedrock, before, it will tell us that it's from Bedrock, which, again, that's why this guy is there. And if we actually view the contents of that file, it has a similar display, but it talks about Bedrock Linux and everything. And actually, fun fact, if we neofetch, it will tell us Bedrock Linux, because neofetch is aware of Bedrock. It checks for the /bedrock, and if that's present, it will read from this LS release file of Bedrock itself instead of any of the other distros that you have installed. We can do the same thing for Tut Alpine, and it will tell us that the Tut Alpine OS release file is owned by Tut Alpine. The contents we can see is Alpine Linux information. So that's pretty simple. Okay. Now we're going to learn about the strat command. I don't really know what to say. I could leave this out, but I know that that's boring. We're actually going to just run these commands here for fun, and so I can kind of walk you guys through this. So the strat command here, if you prefix a command with strat and then the name of the stratum, it will run the version of the command from that stratum. So this gives us the LS version, which the Alpine version of LS is from BusyBox, and the Void version of LS, let's see, just has the usage information because it doesn't put it at the top there. If you don't specify the desired stratum with strat, Bedrock will try to figure one out from context, which we kind of saw before. Init-related commands are pinned. Pinned is called to the actual process ID 1, the init system that is actually being used. If it's not pinned, it will use the local one. So that's the one from the calling process. So again, if we BRL which, it's Ubuntu, and the default LS is Ubuntu's LS. That's what this is saying. If it's not pinned and it's not available locally, Bedrock will search the other strata and it will select one of them, the first one it finds which depends on things that we don't need to get into, because if you really care, you can change it yourself. DLL which reboot. Let's see which reboot. It's Ubuntu's reboot, because again, it's Ubuntu's init process ID 1, system D in this case. And again, BRL which APAC will say tut alpine, and XPPS install will say void. Again, tut alpine, XPPS install is from tut void. Cool. Enter. Okay, time to learn about restriction. Sometimes it's confusing to have commands from different distros, like build tools and things. So we can actually make it so certain things can't see outside of their own distro. So tut void, the shell that comes with tut void can see Alpine's package manager, APAC, because again, it's the same way that our shell here, which is the Ubuntu shell, can see it, and it will print out the big help. But if we add the -R option there, so we strat -R for restrict, APAC not found. It's not found because we were trying to use the voids version of the shell to talk to Alpine's package manager, which is not inside of void. Automatically restrict some commands that it knows are related to compiling, such as arch's make package. If that's a problem, you can unrestrict with strat-u for unrestrict. Cool. If something acts oddly in the Bedrock, first thing you should try to do is restrict it, especially with compiling stuff. Okay, that's simple enough, but it is very useful, of course. Yeah. Stratum states. Sometimes you want to keep the files, but you don't really want it integrated, so you want to kind of disable it. So we can do that very simply with sudo DLL disable, and command completion doesn't seem to. Oh, it does work actually. Tut void. I just pressed tab a couple times to get those to show up, by the way. Disable tut void. I'll hang for a bit, and then it will just return. And now, apparently that stops everything. So let's try this command here. Just print out the help for XBPS, which is the package manager, and strat cannot find void anymore, and it suggests that it might be disabled, which we know it is because we just did that. So that's good. Now we can BRL enable void again, and run the same command again, and it will print out the help for XBPS install. Cool. Updates work about exactly how you would expect. APAC has its updates, which it can do, and upgrades, which are just, that's how you handle it on Alpine. That's exactly, because that is literally, you're just handling it on Alpine. Same with voids XBPS, or if you had Arch, it would be the same syntax. And BRL has the command BRL update, and it will check the repo, and it will see that there are no updates. Nice. Now we get into the fun, the crazy stuff. How's my battery? How is my battery actually? Okay, I'm on 54th, that's fine. Sorry, you just had to look behind the curtain briefly. Again, I don't care. Package managers, the thing about having multiple package managers is that you have to use, if you kind of get to have to use all of them. So to manage the package managers, Bedrock has a package manager. So we're going to open the Bedrock sudo editor equals vi sudo edit. That file, the bedrock.conf in the etc directory of the Bedrock. We're going to find the user interface field. We're going to search for user interface equals apt or pacman, and here it says apt. It says populate if it's empty, which it's not. It's just got apt here, but yeah, screw it. Apt is easy to use. Let's just keep it that way. So if we pmm -help, hang on, let me put it first. pmm -help. Oh boy, look at all that stuff. The Bedrock Linux Package Manager. It does a bunch of stuff. It's currently mimicking the apt acts. It's got the yes flags for yes, the quiet. You can restrict to specific strata or specific package managers, or you can do it to work on everything. Options for versioning. Install, reinstall, remove, purge. The -d package, as far as I can tell, are just to mimic the way that some Ubuntu package management commands. So you need dpackage, and some of them you don't. They've got a whole bunch of things that it can do. These guys are just there we go. Now it all fits on the screen. About or pmm-install. Wait, is not found. Oh, if we switched it to like XBPS or something, that would be how it would work. Which is a nice touch. So we can remove strata as well as add them. So sudo drl disable alpine. Yeah, they wanted us to remove to alpine, and we can also remove it, and it will be removed. We can also use -d for that as well, so we'll drl remove -d type void, and it shall be gone. Cool. We're on lesson 15. We're almost done, guys. I didn't expect this to be this long, but it's good. It's good to be thorough. Good to go through everything. Hopefully, this will be a decent introduction to Bedrock Linux for people. And if not, then it'll just sit on YouTube forever. I don't care. The init may not be disabled, so VRL which one again prints out Ubuntu because that's the distro that is providing any init. So if we sudo VRL disable Ubuntu, there will be problems. Cannot disable init providing stratum. So if you wish to remove the init providing stratum, you gotta reboot and start up with a different init, which again you can do from the menu, as we saw. Bedrock Stratum glues the entire system together. It cannot be removed. When Bedrock hijacked this computer, it moved the previous install files elsewhere. It installed itself to the root of the system and added the previous install as a new stratum called Ubuntu. Now that the hijack operation is completed, there is nothing particularly special about the Ubuntu stratum. You're free to remove it should you wish to do so. Just make sure to install anything essential that Ubuntu is providing, such as the bootloader or kernel or sudo in another stratum. Press enter to continue. If you want to make a stratum for a distro that BRL fetch doesn't support, because as we saw there were only a few distros that it even had, you can use BRL import, which can be a directory containing the files, or a tarball, or a VM image. And you just import and then the name and then the path to the source code there, which is good. It's pretty simple, and it'll just install it as a stratum like it would any of the predefined ones. Bedrock.conf. Where's my sudo edit? There it is. We saw Bedrock.conf earlier, and anything that you think Bedrock should be able to have configured, it can, and it's there. The color is true here. Color equals true, which was why it was all nice and stuff like that. But if we change it to color equals false, and we save that, and I'll apply. Takes a second to apply, which is fine. Should be fine. Better be fine. And BRL -- help. Ooh, no color. It's all boring. Nice. Let's undo that because I like colors. Oh wait, no, I didn't scroll far up enough. Go back to color. Color equals true. ZZ, sudo BRL apply. And again, you can use any editor that can be run as root, or can pretend to be run as root. So now for BRL help. Boom, lots of pretty colors. All my favorite colors. And our final lesson, the BRL tutorial. You can, again, use BRL help for strat. BRL strat is the same as just running strat. You can list all of the stratum. You can BRL status, which will print out the list, the statuses of all of the strata. There's a repair command that can fix symlinks and stuff. It sometimes works, and mostly works, and it's got different intensity settings for if you want it to work better. And that's pretty much it. BRL tutorial -- help. It can do basics, and it can do lessons about BRL fetch, which we're not going to go into right now, because it's not that complicated. You can just BRL fetch. For example, let me just sudo BRL fetch arch, just to prove once and for all that you can do it. It has to filter through a bunch of stuff. I say the word stuff a lot, don't I? Okay. And again, you can read through the config file. And that's pretty much it for Bedrock Linux, the tutorial. But Bedrock Linux, the distro, honestly, there's not much more than that to it either. Like, I don't want to undersell this, but I also don't want to oversell it. there's honestly not that much to say. I mean, you've seen, you just went through the tutorial with me. I meant to go somewhere else, not to do that. You saw. So this setup here on the home page for Bedrock Linux is actually the setup that the dev uses. They made a bunch of edits to the source code of new PDF and formatted that the Gentoo way, and then never bothered wanting to change it. And so this way they have Gentoo installed just for the PDF reader that they don't feel like recompiling on different distros. Which, that's to invent such an amazing concept just so you don't have to bother rewriting any of your software. That's something, alright. Fonts mostly work. There's a list of what works and what doesn't. So let's actually go over to that. Distro compatibility. We have a table of distros. Most distros mostly work. Paradigm here again is the main developer. I don't think I actually mentioned the name, but yeah. There's some distros that have issues, but a lot of them, most of the big ones, mostly work fine. Is the idea. There are some problems, for example, with Nix, but you can still just install the Nix package manager, or Gooks for that matter, on another distro and restrict it like you would a build command, as that was mentioned in the tutorial, and that'll work fine. As you can see, we're still over here downloading Arch. Solus is, I don't know much about Solus, whatever. And yeah. Feature compatibility. This is the interesting part, because a lot of what the draw for distros are is features. And a lot of features that kind of are trivial, like they're Flash, but some of them aren't. So, documents, man pages and info pages. Info pages are fine, they just work. Man pages, there's a slightly weird issue where some man pages, some distros bzip their man pages with bzip2 compression, but other distros' version of mandoc, which is one possible provider of the man command, don't actually support bzip2. So the way you deal with that is you just use a different man. You just use a different version of man that does support it, or don't use the man pager that doesn't support the man pages that you want to read. And is basically how you do that. So that makes sense. Fonts are kind of wonky, but worst case scenario, you can just copy them over and they'll probably work. That's been my experience anyway. The VT fonts, which is referring to the Linux console, which I'm not going to try and get to right now, even in this virtual machine environment, because I'm just afraid that something will go horribly wrong. It shouldn't, but I just want to be safe. It's fine. Sometimes apps don't work. For example, this system that I'm running on right now is a Bedrock system 2, and as you can see, my browser Brave doesn't have an icon. Neither does OBS Studio, because I installed that from, I think I installed the Arch version on my machine. I mean, my actual machine here. So that's a thing that's happening. Desktop environments have some problems. Basically, you need to call strat for anything that expects the wrong distro. DKMS, which is dynamic kernel module stuff. Sure. You've got to do some workarounds. SCATX, which is for entering interesting characters, like Japanese characters, you need that for. You just need to install in different strata to get it to work with all of those libraries. Init configuration, it's kind of the same thing as desktop environment, cross strata. You've got to call the strat command in it to work. Excuse me, my dog is pausing out. Give me just a second here. You're gonna be okay, right? Sorry about that. Somebody was going by with their dog, and the dog likes to acknowledge their existence loudly. Don't you? Don't you, of course. Yes, you do. Okay. So, anyway, as you can see over here, Arch is finished installing, so you know what we gotta do. Sudo pacman-s neofetch. We already have neofetch installed. But now we have to, you know what we've got to do to prove that it's Arch. Here and strat Arch neofetch. This is so that it doesn't know that it's inside Bedrock. And boom! How's that for an Arch install? One command. You don't ever need to install Arch Linux again. You can just install Ubuntu, install whatever you want, and then just Bedrock over it. How cool is that? I think that's really cool, and you should too. And let me see. We can talk about other issues for this. So, shell completion works pretty surprisingly well. Themes work. Let's see. One thing that you might care about, you shouldn't care about it, but you might, is Pacman and Octopi, which are the Manjaro graphical package managers, which is a little bit weird. Now, the one issue that's actually relevant and pertinent, grub with BTRFS or ZFS, I guess is how people say it. The way that grub correlates the names, the files of partitions and stuff isn't quite foolproof, and it usually works fine. On normal distros it works fine, but Bedrock is not normal. And Bedrock kind of breaks the way that grub works because grub kind of fudges the way that they pick BTRFS subvolumes. So you can't really use those things together with Bedrock. At least you cannot boot. Should not boot a Bedrock system, or try and make a Bedrock system whose boot drive is ButterFS. But that's slightly unfortunate. Now, if we go to my Emacs here, I'm going to show you something a little bit of a what's actually going on here. So the way that Bedrock Linux decides what to do after the whole not reversible thing from the tutorial earlier, it does its sanity checks. It does a whole bunch of sanity checks. The first, it checks if root. Let's just scroll down to where it mentions BetterFS. First, it checks if OpenSUSE is the distro, because OpenSUSE uses BetterFS, and that breaks Bedrock Linux when using grub, which OpenSUSE also uses. Then checks if a subvolume or a ZFS volume is being used in the grub configuration file. Again, that makes sense. This check here, this check just checks if you've got any drives that are mounted that are BetterFS, and if any file in your root directory is a grub file. It's called grub. This check gets you false positives. It's better to be conservative here. And yeah, it is. But I actually disabled this on my other system because, again, I only disabled it because I knew for a fact that I was not booting off of BetterFS volume. I had one mounted as my home directory and another one mounted underneath that, but neither were being booted off of. It wouldn't come up at all. Honestly, I probably made a mistake doing that because it doesn't really matter anyway. And that is like my production system, but whatever. I don't. I just wanted to let you guys know that if you're using BetterFS, you might want to not waste your time, or you might decide to just disable this check. You can just comment it out, and that's a couple keystrokes in my editor because I have it set up that way. If your editor doesn't have that, you can get good, but yeah, whatever. That's anyway, that's about it for me. I just wanted to explain Bedrock Linux to you because I think it's neat, and if you think it's neat, you should let me know in the comments because I can't believe you got this far. Bye.